everybody, I'm finally done with this video. It has taken me way too long to do this. I did not think it would take this long to finish, not even close to 3.5 to 4 weeks. There were so many technical difficulties. Anyway, I could go on, but I really hope you guys enjoy this one. It's a bit of a heavier topic and it's a little bit longer than usual, but after this, I've got a couple more lighthearted, fun videos on a more personal side for me, and then after break, I've got a couple more solid videos to chop up for you guys. So I'm really excited for this one and for all the videos to come. Thanks for all the support. I know this has taken a while, so please enjoy. So I'm taking a class this year called Humans' Evolving Relationship with the Earth, or HERE, as we've taken to call it, because saying that title is quite a mouthful. Basically, it's a course about climate change and the impact that it's going to have on our lives as its effects inevitably draw closer. Kind of a mood killer, believe me, I know, but I figured that in my final year, I should challenge myself with one class that kind of ignores how I feel about certain subjects and, gives me harsh numbers, because although it's a relatively unstructured class and our curriculum is decided by us for the most part, I'd say that it's great because I would normally stray away from such divisive topics because people are sensitive about things, gets political, all that stuff, and I don't want to upset anybody. I feel is pretty valid. However, it's not like we don't consider social and emotional impacts of climate change. It's just more that I should get better about raising my voice, learning about tougher subjects and all that as I become an adult. In this class, we began by discussing the level of commitment needed to fight climate change, the sort of one for all for one mentality, And so as far as global superpowers go, we should demonstrate how to lead the rest of the world to face such challenging things like climate change and all natural disasters and stuff like that. But in order to keep us interested and not, disheartened at the thought of, 2050 approaching and what that's going to be like and all the little timetables we've set up for 2025 and 2050, in order to keep us motivated at least, my teacher had us look at the daunting task of mitigating or adapting to climate change at least, through the lens of big wave surfing in Hawaii and Southern California. There's one surfing character who's he's a cultural phenomenon to this day still, especially out west in surfing culture in general. His name is Eddie Aiko. Eddie was a big wave surfer, and he was one of the best actually. He was known for understanding how important our connection to Mother Earth was, and surfing was his way of strengthening that connection or that bond that he had. And I guess you'll kind of hear that all throughout surfing culture as well. But tragically, Eddie died on March 17th of 1978, and it wasn't from a surfing accident, and it wasn't from a shark attack or anything fun like that. No, he died trying to save other people, which is something he did routinely because he worked as a lifeguard before he picked up big wave surfing, and he even dabbled in it in between surfing seasons. So while he was on a 30-day voyage with the Polynesian Voyaging Society, their ship sprung a leak and started to capsize. He grabbed his longboard, some rope, and a couple of oranges apparently, which is pretty smart, and he tried swimming his way to the island that was 12 miles away from them. I believe it was the island of Molokai.
It's your boy in post. I got it wrong. It was the island of Lanai. Anyways.
That's pretty damn admirable, to say the least. But, being out there, and even right now as we're looking at climate change, everyone's asking themselves questions. How do we approach this? What can we do to show that this really does affect everybody? It's not about one gender, one race, one class, one political or ideology, none of that. How do we manage this, right? And so he's probably asking himself, how the hell do I paddle to an island 12 miles away? What do I do when I get there? How am I gonna get back? How am I gonna know where to go? All these what ifs, right? But he would never get to answer that question because he was never seen or heard from again. And the search for Eddie Aiko was the biggest land and sea search in the history of the West Coast. Such an impressively heartwarming tale inspired those around to invent the catchphrase, Eddie would go, meaning that in the face of all odds, he would brave forward, strive for greatness, all that stuff. He would surf the tallest waves, I guess. And that's gotta be pretty cool to have his name be synonymous with the legacy of a hero. So the question right now is, what can we take from that chapter of Eddie Aiko's life. And I think we should just learn how to commit like that. I think we should decide when, if or how, just something, when to put all of our eggs into one basket. This goes beyond climate change too. When to put all of our eggs into one basket and just try to control one situation at hand, all at once, all of our effort. And there's tons we could be doing, and I'm actually really happy to see what's going on in the world. A lot of people are trying very hard to adapt or mitigate to climate change. A great example of creators doing this is the Mark Rober and Mr. Beast Team Trees and Team Seas organizations, planting trees or replanting trees, I guess, where they're needed, and creating robots that can take out trash out of the ocean much more efficiently than humans ever could. And that's awesome. And I love that that was started by two creators. So I understand, I guess this would be the con side of that, I understand how many times we've been told, at least in the past couple of years, that it's too little too late, right? We're past the 2020 deadline, 2025 is coming up. The things that we thought would happen in 2050 are starting to happen now. All this different stuff because we just haven't changed, right? And I understand that focusing on adapting at the moment seems a little bit more plausible, at least, than trying to mitigate. And I guess it's a tendency I developed when I stayed out of these conversations, because I like to watch these things happen. I'm an observer and a listener, but I never got into these certain conversations. But like I said before, they're divisive, people are sensitive, people feel attacked or they don't feel heard, right? So I stayed out of them. And one thing I got from listening is that I always have to approach one problem from multiple different angles, because that's the only way I can feel comfortable committing to one side of the argument, or at least feeling confident in a clear argument. So I always have to ask myself, why can't we just attack this thing from both sides? I don't see a problem, at least. Trying to mitigate things we can still at least try to mitigate, and also focus on adapting to things that are already present. I think that's awesome. I think that'd be a great idea. But I don't have an answer to that question because I'm not an expert. I'm just a guy with a couple cameras and a laptop, right? But I know that if we don't make up our minds pretty soon, I just don't know what's going to happen. So in the grand scheme of things, maybe it is a little futile to try and mitigate a ton of things all at once. Maybe producing clean energy costs too much, like creating biofuels or producing new waves of electric cars. Maybe that's not the way to go, right? But the oceans that clean things more efficiently, teams replanting trees where they need them, that doesn't do us any harm. And it's not adapting, that's mitigating. And I think the best part about that is that we might learn a thing or two. By trying to mitigate and adapt, by taking both sides of the equation, setting them equal to zero, and solving both problems, or at least trying to solve both problems, we could learn something. Learning about the environment that we live in, strengthening the relationship that we have to it, like Eddie and his big wave surfing, finding a strong connection we have to the planet, understanding how it affects everybody. If we could study something, have a good relationship with it, clean it and live in it at the same time, that's perfection. Hopefully my teacher is going to see this at some point, so I'd like to thank him for approaching such a heavy topic, an extremely sensitive topic, with ease. This class has taught me so much already in its first semester, and I look forward to analyzing related subjects on this channel and in class. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I'll make sure to catch you in the next one. I'll be taking a very short break over my kind of winter break right before the new year, but I've got tons of new content planned and mostly on the way for you guys. More stuff on Instagram as well, so please check that out if you haven't already. And like I said, I'll see you soon.